The laughing guy is Anthony. I'm Andy, and good morning, or good afternoon.
Good afternoon, yes.
It's 1:40. It feels like morning because you get here later. You know, it throws everything off kilter. And welcome to Talking Horses. We had an abundance of rain. The rain that was supposed to be very minimal, it just got much worse yesterday afternoon.
Didn't
we got
stop.
over 3/4 of an inch of rain. So we are sloppy and sealed, and there's a lot of water on the track. There's a good chance we're back on the turf tomorrow, though.
I would agree.
It's supposed to clear up. It's supposed to be nice the weekend. It's supposed to be a terrific weekend. Good-looking racing coming up, but it is what it is. We're off the turf, and we'll make the most of it as we have our 3:05 start today.
The best off-the-turf handicapper on the planet, right there.
On
Don't go
occasion.
looking around. You're
Thank
the
you.
best.
Appreciate that.
I don't give you too much credit. That credit you deserve. Nobody's better at finding value and picking winners and making money on wet tracks than you.
I think that, and I appreciate that, but I think that there's a real misconception by people. They say, oh, it rains there off the turf. I'm not going to look. I'm not saying you're in a betting. You might look. I mean, I've looked at off the turf cards and said I got nothing.
Me too.
But these are the races that are the misbet the most. They're betting turf horses. They're not really noticing dirt form. And you will find, listen, you might find horses that pay $560 that if the race had been drawn as a dirt race, the horse might have paid $360.
$3, right.
So there are overlays at times, and you just should be alert to them. It doesn't mean there are always opportunities. There are always the possibility of opportunities. Race one off the turf, but you can take advantage of those opportunities by playing through NYRA Bets. You and Rombauer. Promo code match200. Go to NYRABets.com. We'll match with $200 of your initial deposits. Play through NYRA Bets. Keep the money in the game.
They got us pumping through here today. You got the echo. Echo.
You get that a lot. It'll be like that. It's like the mirror, right? I got thrown by this one. Hurry before it's gone. Top of stretch. Some stuff still available for Belmont. You're crazy. These are great.
They're fantastic.
Check it out. Go to BelmontStakes.com. Even the Grinch up here, I like those. And America's Day at the Races, 3 to 8:30. Of course, we start at 3. Churchill starts around 5. You're going to be on late?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Late today,
Race
early tomorrow, I think.
Number 1 off the turf. This will be a mile and an eighth.
Yes, out of the chute, all the way at the back of the
Mitch
chute.
Levitas likes to say, a mile and an eighth. There is.
We'll give you the rider changes as they come along.
You'll give them the rider changes.
Yeah.
Let me start by talking about Charging Lady, and she may win. She's have to charge it. Horse didn't do any running first time out.
0.
And it just feels like a horse that may well win. You got to think by post time, probably going to be favored, but maybe not. And if not, probably a bad sign. The horse who's currently even money, we'll take a look at My Risky Affair. This horse has never been on the dirt, and Christophe Clement's done well, leaving horses in on the dirt over the years. But why is this horse a heavy favorite in here?
I don't know. This horse was in 2 intended Tapeta races at Gulfstream Park. These are not off the turf. They were both intended Tapeta races. Finally found their way to the grass when the pot got almost twice the size of the purse down at Gulfstream Park, which I guess makes sense. She got beat a half length, as you're going to see right here. You and I have talked about this a lot. This is one of the things I have picked up from you. These blanket finishes in any races, they're more forgiving on the turf, but more often than not, they do not produce winners, for the lack of any kind of real effort. Next time out, and you could have thrown a blanket over 5 of them within 2 lengths of each other. Yeah, I mean, never seen the dirt, 2 intended Tapeta races, and now off the turf, you just kind of feel like, especially if this horse stays favored.
Well, there's something. I think there's another thing about this horse that is noteworthy, is that that race collapsed. So the race was really run in a very favorable manner for My Risky Affair and can win. You're taking just a stab here with Mrs. Postman?
Well, I don't know if it's a stab. The damn Miss Shop was 9 for 27, grade 1 winner, won our personal ensign up at the spa. Yeah, families, I think this is she's a pioneer on the Nile. I would imagine she's going to handle a wet track. I would imagine, it's weird because the Charging Lady, who has the dirt pedigree, gets the 1 try on dirt, doesn't run 2 steps, and moves to the turf. Mrs. Postman, who I know she's by Pioneer of the Nile, but the bottom end, and the bottom end has produced turf horses. But the bottom end says she's going to handle the dirt, and they put her right on the turf. She goes off almost 20 to 1. So, yeah, she's a little bit, you'd like to think she's a little bit, I would anyway, like to think she's a little bit of a clever pick off the turf, but she might not be able to run 2 steps on the dirt either.
or she might not be able to run that well anywhere.
Right.
I took Reign of Love in this race as my alternative play. I have to Unchained Melody, a horse that Brian Lynch had that won our Mother Goose a few years ago. Unfortunately, I think she got hurt after that, and she never really came back.
She
and
beat
did any good running.
Lockdown the day Lockdown fell to her face walking out of the starting gate.
She was very, very good in that race. Very good. I like this horse in the turf. I'm going to take this horse in the dirt. Pedigree is supposed to be able to handle it, so I'm going to take Reign of Love, who might benefit from her first start.
I'm with you. I want to try and beat the favorites in the first leg of this early pick 5.
All right. Race number 2. Race number 2 has 2 similar types. One of them is Gaslight, and we'll look at Gaslight's win 2 races back down at Oaklawn Park. You've got a horse that just over a year ago at least showed potential, could be okay for Brad Cox, and now is coming back a year plus, running for $16,000. How do you bet on this horse in here? I'm not saying the horse can't win. For what it's worth, I looked something up. 8 to 16 months coming back in the dirt. His numbers aren't terrible. Turning back, the numbers are okay. I just can't bet this horse.
I'm pretty sure I covered that race on HRN when I was doing the radio over there and saying to myself, wow, this is an impressive effort. Back 13 days, facing older horses for the first time, gallops at 3 to 5. And then he ran him in the air, then he didn't run well, but that Mr. Wireless turned into a
well, it doesn't matter. He did. He's
a
just
knock-around stakes horse. Right, but where's he been? He's in for the bottom.
And if you want an example of a horse like him, look at Acceptable Risk, the 5, right? Olinda Rice bid on last time, and now she's dropping immediately off the claim. This horse looked pretty good to start its career, and just was sold privately before the second start, or maybe in an auction. I shouldn't say privately. This horse just was awful last time.
Awful.
Absolutely awful in the last race, and neither one of us going to be shocked when he runs better in this field. But I think that's why you end up on Wicked Mad, right?
Right. I mean, you find exactly right. It's process of elimination, really. I don't want Gaslight off the long layoff. I don't trust Acceptable Risk off the claim.
This horse is dropping too.
And this horse is dropping too, but I almost feel like this is more of a drop to win. Right? They claim the horse for 50.
They want to lose this horse too.
They want to lose this horse too, but I feel like, they could have found a spot out of town, I would think, that cutting. And I also don't think the mile was anything this horse wanted last time. I think this horse is a sprinter, despite the pedigree. This horse is by Tapit, obviously.
I also feel like the one Motion to Strike between acceptable Risk, but more importantly, Tamburo Sock,
has to get covered.
It's going to take some company, and Motion to Strike was able to clear and run off to an easy lead last time, and I just think it's a different story. I'm not saying he can't win, because all these horses are kind of suspect.
And he did win over a wet track, which is a sloppy seal track, and now it was at Aqueduct, but he's getting he's getting that today.
He's got other speeds to deal with as well. He's shown no special affinity for wet tracks. Race number 3. What did you do in here?
I went back to she's a black belt on the short rest.
You can hold off on the stat. Just relax, Francisco. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this horse kind of walked out of the gate last time, stumbled a little bit at the start. You thought she would be on the lead. She kind of rushed up after that. And then I'll tell you one thing.
Well, wait a second. She engaged in a wicked pace that totally collapsed.
I had bet this horse. I thought this horse was an unbelievable
You're a bigger
price.
man than me for admitting it.
I bet her and I canceled when I saw her walk out onto the racetrack. She looked terrible. She was washy, the whole thing. Now, if you see the same thing today.
She's also dropping precipitously.
She is dropping in a big way, and she is catching. I mean, that was not a tough 25 last time, but that was the filly-in mare sprint compared to the horses she's running against today.
She's not going to be in front today with the presence of Quality Stones, who we'll get to in a moment. We'll take a look at a stat for the Cantor Machi barn. They actually have very good numbers, and if you're thinking of these numbers out of town, no, they're 6 for 26 at Naira with a 222 ROI, so the numbers are very similar. It's a barn that's done well on the drop downs, and she does seem like she's sort of, her last race could be a useful prep for her. I agree with you. She's very logical. And the other thing is, I can't take Mebs Webb. I can't take Carly Hustle in this race.
Right.
I guess Miss Pepina could win. She is dropping, but her form is fairly dubious.
You don't have the attachment to My Girl Lexi that I do. So it's
a good point to make it. How do you know? As far as Big Al's Gal and Quality Stones, I bet Big Al's Gal last time out, and I know it's a big switch from Heeman Harkey to Trevor McCarthy, but the reality is Heeman didn't do anything wrong in this horse last night. He rode this horse very well, and it was a good bet at 8-1. She just didn't quite get the job done. It was an inquiry, actually. It was surprising she didn't come down, cut her some slack on that. Quality Stones is a speed. I'm not going to be surprised if she wins this race as well, but I'm going to mostly focus on the 1 and 5, unless you think speed's going to be dominant. Maybe the 7 can wire the field.
I agree. Yeah. The 7's the insurance. Right, Quality Stones is kind of the insurance policy in here in case she just gets in front of these horses, and the rest of them just don't want to really do this anymore.
Right. All right. Race number 4. Off the turf, 2, 3, 4, 5, stay in. What are you doing here?
I just went, off the turf. You got 4 horses here. At the very least, Poppy Flower. The debut was behind Kavad, who turned into a.
He'd improved a lot though after he was claimed. After he was claimed, to be fair.
But he took, she faced
by Chris Hartman.
I know it was early in the year. She faced boys in that race. Now she takes on the girls in a 4-horse field off the turf. She gets Lasix for the first time. A trainer change to Bill Mott. I'm not going to die on this hill, but
no.
I'm gonna.
I'm gonna die on a hill in this race, but you don't have to.
Okay.
I'm gonna die on the hill of the 5, Screamin' By.
Really?
Well, Screamin' By's last dirt race was a 65 buyer, which would make her competitive here. She was 4 wide against a gold rail that day, and I think she ran very, very well in there. I think a repeat performance of that race, and she'll win this race.
Okay.
But also in her debut, she actually took some money in her debut. You know who beat her in her debut was Taraz, that Juddmonte horse for Brad Cox that unfortunately broken down, but she was looking like a monster. Was that 2 years ago? 2 years ago. Yeah.
COVID, yeah.
So
I know why you picked her. Stop, Andy. Just stop lying to everybody.
What?
I know why you picked her.
Why?
Tomlinson is a 443.
Oh my God!
For a wet track. Just be honest with the people. That's all they want is honesty.
Yeah. I don't even have to look at the Tomlinsons. I just feel them. It's like they jump off the page at me.
It's like
now I can bet a lot more now.
They
see that big Tomlinson.
Double the bet. I mean, what's this now? $16
well,
bet?
I mean, by the way, if you don't know that Spicetowns, by the way, is there anything Spicetowns can't do?
No.
Turf, dirt,
they go a
short,
mile and a quarter,
long, mud, doesn't matter.
He's fantastic.
He's one of the craziest good sires ever.
He beat Valponi in Valponi's comeback in 2003 after the Breeders' Cup Classic upset.
Really?
He beat Valponi here. I was not doing well financially at the time, but I remember betting whatever I did have.
Bet you don't believe that.
I remember betting I remember my gambling money, whatever I had left. I think he paid $10 or $11.
He got good when he was 6 or 7. 7 the year he won Top Sprinter? I still think, by the way, that Pico Central should have gotten it over him.
6 or 7.
Pico
but
Central.
He beat him here right around this time of year. Valponi came back. I think it was going 7/8. He beat Valponi on a track similar to this, and I think he paid $10.
Amazing sire. Amazing sire. So I like Screamin' By in this race. The big Tomlinson only encouraged me more to really.
How much more? Scale of 1 to 10. 1 being the lowest. -7?
A quarter. If I was going to bet like 100, I'm betting 101. Maybe 104.
I figured at that price, this was like a $16 win bet or a $22 win bet and like $12 exactas. This is your wheelhouse with these 4-horse field horses.
Thank you. Honey Money is scratched. By the way, we're clarifying this, but we do believe there's
show trifecta and superfecta waiver.
Field.
Yes, we're going to get you official word on that in a minute.
But that seemed to be a little bit dubious. We're looking into that. So easy to bless.
We can move on, Francisco.
Let's go to Francisco's really into the 4th race.
He finds value. He's listening to you with
Francisco's not on his game.
Bated breath.
It's not on his game.
He sees a 4-horse off the turf field. You like the 8-1 longest price on the morning line. He's chomping at the bit.
My Claude.
Where's Claude?
Claude disappeared.
Probably eating peanuts.
Disappeared.
It's his new snack is peanuts.
We'll look at easy to bless, and I actually want to go back to that extra heat. Because this was some performance. This is when she beat She's a Little Edgy, who came back with a big win, as she faced again today. Because, take your time, Francisco. This is the last video, Francisco, so milk it.
It's easy street the rest of the way,
yeah,
my man.
You can go back to sleep. She blows the break, right? And I love this about Jackie. Jackie says, okay, well, they're going slow. I'm not going to sit back here and let them go slow. I'm just going. And I mean, this horse won by 9 3/4 length, and didn't even have a good trip.
Horrible trip. I shouldn't say a horrible trip, but this is like a Yonkers Raceway half-mile move, just a big brush to the lead. And like those moves, they usually stop. This move didn't stop. She just kept going. She poured it on.
Started to half a Strieso mile. I'm not going to make a big deal about it, but Francisco's clearly in a hurry. You got something going on? You got a Met score for us? I don't know, Anthony. I'm not going to try to beat her. She ran huge against. It's all relevant to boys last time.
She tried the boy. So we wrote 2. The racing office doing a good job changing some things with the condition book. I love these old starter handicaps. They brought one for the boys and one for the ladies. So the boys went first, and she ran a huge second to It's All Relevant. And they told Maggie or Acacia that they would wheel her back in 3 weeks in the race for the Fillies. And sure, that's a lie. Jackie Davis told me they were bringing her back.
This is the Queen's Village, by the way. I believe this is the Queen's Village. Let me take a look.
You know, I'm for everything Queens.
The Queen's Village starter handicap.
Take
the train to Queens Village for 100 years.
Lived in the same house in Queens my entire life. Love Queens.
I thought it was Brooklyn.
No, I'm in Queens. Q Thorough. It's the illest borough. Look it up.
I'm not going to try to beat her. I mean, I can understand. It's got to get a little annoying for Honey Money. She keeps getting wet track. She's scratched. Stewart scratched, though. But, I mean, listen, she's a little edgy. She did run a big figure last time. That race struck me as wildly phony.
And with Honey Money out of here, though, she's going to be loosey-goosey.
Well, Easy to Bless is not going to be slow. Jackie's not letting the other horse get away.
She shouldn't.
She was in front of her in the race we just saw after getting left.
Yeah.
We'll see. They look like the two. That's the first 5. Late pick 4 after a quick break.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Anthony Stabile, Andy Serling. We are off the turf, sloppy and sealed track, but it's supposed to clear up and things will be getting better, a little warmer too. A little chilly. I thought we were past the cold weather. So people know, as many of you know, there's a rule that if you're entered in consecutive days outside of stake races, you have to scratch the first day. That does not apply when we come off the turf. So horses in this race now, I think there's a race later where Cali Magic decided to run tomorrow, but she was in a small field tomorrow. But that's why a horse like Dot Stoller, who's in tomorrow, is going to run today. And she's the horse to beat in here, I suppose. But the problem with her a little bit is, Anthony, you kind of missed the boat. You got a big price last time out. Well, I didn't miss the boat, but you kind of missed the boat if you didn't have her last time at a big price. And now he's going to be a super short price. It does feel like he's probably the main speed, though. He's not that fast, but he's probably the speed in here. And you have to like the fact that he beat a horse, Baltazar, who came back to beat Maiden Special in his next start, albeit off the claim.
Yeah, guys, that should be 10-7, 111. I thought I sent that in. Sorry.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, and for all
I got 3 texts from people saying, "What's Anthony's fourth pick?" So.
Yeah, for all I got 7. For all the things you just for all the things you just said, I mean, I don't love the fact that I did not make the wedding party last time, but he looks like the controlling speed, and Cousin Andrew's off the break, and I think. Rightfully, I think this horse is better on the turf. Now, that doesn't mean one of his dirt races doesn't make him dangerous in here. It does. But let's see how he runs off. Let's see how he runs off the layoff. And
rare horses run well on the turf that Chad Brown originally had. And ran well in the dirt. I don't love him either. I like Cousin Andrew a lot. I'm actually going to see him this weekend.
Andy is friends with the actual
real Cousin Andrew. He's a celebrity. Acacia interviewed him on the show last summer. He was a little nervous on camera.
Really?
Yeah, he was a little nervous on camera. Yeah.
Does that run in the family, I think?
No.
Kind of does.
He's not really in the family, actually. It's complicated.
Twice removed?
No, it's complicated. But anyway. Okay. No, it's not really complicated. It's in-law. He was a little nervous. I think he was overwhelmed by Acacia, actually.
Awesome. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think that's what really happened, to be honest with you. I'm going to discuss it with him.
I'm assuming many have been.
He's a kind of outgoing guy, and he was a little.
That's a little cis, so that doesn't affect me. But
he's a terrific guy, actually.
Should I meet him?
I don't know. He's a terrific guy. He's around. Anyhow, you've got On the Hill, who comes out of a weak race that collapsed, okay? And then you go to the inside 3. Now, listen, Boom Boom Kaboom's been in good form, but I think he showed last time that he really is a better turf horse. But I don't think he's impossible. I think he'll be forward in here. I'm not saying he's going to be right on top of the 10, but I think he's going to be forward. Lindros is a wild card here.
Yes.
Because he's got speed. And he's got dirt races that aren't that bad. I thought he was kind of the wild card in this race, and I wanted to throw him in. You've got Juggler in there. I know he's above his head last time. I'm not a fan. I just don't think he's any good.
Yeah, you might be right. I mean, but he was in way over his head last time. I guess he
not
faced
that
a little
Lindros or Kaboon are that good, I can't pick them and say,
I really thought on the hill. I know his figs are a little light, but I really thought on the hill had a chance of getting a piece of this at a price.
Okay.
I like those 2 races with Lasix. I know again he has to get a little faster, but who knows? I think he's the horse that you may want to include in your exotics, and I'm going to use him in my late pick.
Came out of a collapsed race, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Race number 7. I like the horse who was scratched, Maddie's Express, and we lost Demo Doctor as well in here.
I like both of them. I had them both in the mix as well.
So you can switch it, Francisco, whenever you wake up. Take your time. Thank you. Must have been a big play in the Mets game or something. Or maybe the O's were rallying and he was upset. I think the O's
the Yankees, you mean?
Yankees and O's are playing at...
the Mets playing now, too?
Yeah, both afternoon games.
I'm a little, no, not caught up today.
Yankees,
Pete was watching the Yankees.
I got to tell you,
left.
we're not Yankee fans. They are a scary team.
Yeah, they are.
They are a scary team.
I hope they both teams stay healthy. Maybe we can get a Subway Series this year.
Yeah. One that the Mets win, hopefully.
Correct.
So Alcuz is the speed, but don't you think Casala and Luis Saez have to go with Alcuz?
Casala has to go. Casala
has to go, right?
What is this?
Casalsa.
Casalsa.
Salsa? Salsa? It's a Seinfeld thing. Salsa?
Casalsa. Yeah, I mean, he was successful last time being aggressive from inside with Trevor McCarthy.
The thing about that race last time, first of all, it was a conditional claiming race, but second of all, that was a race with the favorite. It was a total no-show.
Awful.
So it really was kind of a one-horse race, but he did run. I just thought he had to run better. I didn't like him, but I guess he's not impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, this race is a little goofy.
I don't love him either. I put him third, but yeah, I mean, he'd have to.
I don't trust Alcuz.
He may have to improve. I don't trust Alcuz either, but he's a must-use in here. He's the speed.
I'm going to use him.
I think his best race of his career was here on a wet track.
I don't trust his recent form, though.
That race back in July of last year, I thought that was his best race.
It was a pretty good race. Pretty good race at Belmont.
Yeah, I think they both. Well, that's the other thing too. He might be a horse that loves it here. His 2 best races clearly have been here at Belmont. Yeah, I know you don't worry about it. But it was one on a sloppy track and one on a fast track.
I think the concern with him is the claim, the layoff, and the drop down.
Yeah.
That's the biggest concern with him, and he's going to be a short price in here. That's the concern with him.
But you have to. I mean, if you're playing LA Pick 5, you have to use him.
Yeah, I guess. It depends what you're doing in other races. It depends what your goal is. I mean, a lot of horses can win here. Xavion could win this race. I don't really like him, but he can win.
I like Rejected again, Andy. I like Rejected again today.
Just because it's your name. It's on your forehead.
It's actually not the case, Andy.
I know. I'm just teasing. If it was the case, I wouldn't have said it.
I'm kidding too.
So by the way, every one of us has been rejected
again.
We've
all been rejected, yes.
So if you haven't been rejected again, you didn't play.
Yes. I'm a glutton. So Rejected again, he's taking the big drop in here, right? I mean, he ran against horses 2 back, Scotchatori and American Gentleman. And then even last time, I mean, Glory Road and Happy Farm.
Bad last time, though.
He was not good last time.
That was a big pace that fell apart.
I am wondering. Now, this is a horse that used to have plenty of speed. And he's not fast enough. But I'm wondering if a rider changed to a little bit more of an aggressive rider to Jose Lezcano gets him in the game a little bit more.
You really think Jose sends a lot more than Eric Cancel?
I don't think he sends, but I think he's in better position for the most part. And I think this horse will be in striking range of 2 speed of the 2 horses on paper. Well, you're obviously skeptical of the speeds because Casalsa you don't have on a board.
I've got the 3 seconds, so it's not like I'm against him. But I
think he's going
to be anywhere near the pace.
I think he's going to get a better setup.
I don't think he's going to be anywhere near the pace.
All right. I think he's laying 3rd or 4th. Unlike the last couple of times where he was kind of out the back. I think he's going to be laying a lot closer today.
I don't.
All right.
I don't. Doesn't mean he can't win.
Give me the FF Rocket speech.
Well.
Please.
He's got dirt races that are good enough, and I liked him in the Glory Road race, and he moved like a winner and flattened out, so maybe the cutback will help him getting back to the dirt. I don't know. He's got dirt races that are comparable at different times. He, too, is dropping down, but I don't think he's a negative drop down. He's sort of dropping where he belongs. He hasn't been able to win the other races.
Is where he belongs.
I thought he'd be a fair enough price in this race, and I don't like anybody in here.
Because like we were talking about with Casalsa, he exits. His last win was in a conditioned race, too. One of those beaten races last fall. And that was an off-the-turf race. So, yeah, I mean, listen, this is the kind of race.
He's good enough to win.
This is the kind of race
cuts back.
Kind of race where the 2 horses David has left on the morning line is the favorite. the favorites, Xavion and Al Cools, are as untrustworthy as they
Other
get.
than Uno's a little tough to take.
Anybody can win
Anybody
this race.
can win this race.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't think any horse is standing up particularly strong ground. I'm going to take a small shot with FF Rocket cutting back, a little bit of a drop down.
And by the way, for what it's worth, Uno's 2 for 2 on wet tracks.
And Rob Atras has a positive ROI 209 on turf to dirt moves. So race number 8, this was one turf race I was sorry that we would lose.
For sure.
I thought this was a really, really fun turf race, but hopefully we'll get it back at some point. What'd you do here?
I went to the 12. I went to Pretty Clever. Coming off that win in the mud over at the Big A. I felt like she could sit a similar trip. I think she has to get a little bit faster, but this is just her third start for Jamie Begg. She ran into Snicket, who all of a sudden Snicket is
How much
into a
faster does she have to get?
I mean, a little bit.
Really, who's faster than her here? There's nobody faster than her here. I mean, there's nobody faster than her. She's the horse to beat. She's going to be the favorite, and she's the horse to beat. I don't have any I don't know.
You think she goes favorite in here?
100%. Of course she
probably goes favorite.
Of course she's favored.
Now.
She's coming off a blowout win on a wet track, and she ran a number last time that makes her, at worst, comparable to Chasing
Kara's a little faster than her?
I don't think that Chasing Kara's going to be favored. She's never favored. This horse is usually a short price.
That's true, too. You make a great point.
I prefer Chasing Kara, but I don't have a strong opinion. I just think one of these two horses is going to win it. I don't want anybody else in here. My Chelsea Hot's Mess, not a dirt horse. Parage's Dinah, I'm going to use a little bit. She's actually run okay at times in the dirt. You've got Big Q second. I don't like her at all. I just don't think, I know she'll be forward in this race, but
that's what I liked about her.
She won a hungry race last time.
That's what I know she did, but I thought maybe she could be forward behind the other speed and maybe pick up some pieces.
She in the 13 figure to be the 2 speeds.
Yeah.
No argument with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't. I just don't want her.
Trying to get her in there at a price.
Oh, I know why you put her second. I know why, because Gary Siaka cried to you that you'd. I tortured him about that, by the way, in case you're wondering.
But it's really
because these trainers are mad we don't pick their horses.
It's really because Gary Gullo is involved with GMP racing, and I always show Gary Gullo some respect. This is more of a Gullo thing than a Siaka thing.
Mr. Siaka, Gary Siaka, we like Gary Gullo more than we like you. It's just as simple as that. I can't help. Even though you're still around, we miss Gary Gullo.
Always miss Gary Gullo.
I like Gary, yeah. No, I agree. And we're kidding. We like you too, Gary. I don't know why anybody would care if we like him, by the way. I don't know if it necessarily does him any good.
We're likable guys, Andy.
We like almost everybody. I have no problem.
Yeah, I have a few people I don't really like, but
everybody has a few people. Believe it or not, there's a few people who don't like me. And
there's
a few who don't like you.
It's only like 3 or my Aria stock list is very short. It's only like 3 or 4 people. And there's 2 or 3 that are really at the top of at the 4. Arya Stark was from Game of Thrones, and she had a kill list. I'm not a kill list. I just don't like certain people.
Didn't somebody in Game of Thrones come to Aqueduct for some reason, like tape something?
I don't think so, number one. Number two, why was I not informed?
No, I think so because Dan Silver was here. And
you're right. This is before I was a fan.
Very.
Sophie Turner. Accurate. Sansa, Queen of the North.
Race number 9, I'm going to air a grievance.
This is Festivus?
Yeah, this is a Festivus moment for me. Why is Starry Night Scratch in this race? This horse had an insane trip first time out in the dirt.
We had one earlier, too. Why was Immortization?
This one's worse. This one's worse.
Absolutely worse.
Immortization, I get it. The horse ran very big in the turf. They want to leave him there. This horse hasn't run any good in the turf. The best race never ran by far was its second start.
Yep.
This horse chased Core Conviction that day. Ran a Core Conviction and Waxman. I mean, why is this horse scratched?
Today. No idea.
It's insane.
Insane.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who are they afraid of in here?
Insane. It's insane in the membrane, Andy.
I mean, honestly, if one of North Carolina or Starry Night Scratch, they should have crashed North Carolina. Now, obviously, when North Carolina ran, the horse ran against a killer field. And if people were wondering why this horse got bet that day, this was working huge going into the Pipeline Waxman Cody's Wish race.
Off of that long layoff.
You going to claim North Carolina today? I got. Hang on a sec.
What you got?
Got 11, 12. I got 32. I think I have some more ones.
I got 320.
Oh, no. I got 40.
I got 320.
I got 40.
We got credit.
360.
They take credit down
So
there?
if you guys can come up with another 39,000.
We can cover 1.5% of the aftercare.
$300 or $640. We got you covered.
Don't forget the $650 for aftercare.
I got that covered.
Okay.
Okay.
You got Sox money?
He's going to get claimed.
Yeah. And you know what? He should be claimed. He should be claimed for a couple of reasons. like you said, he took a ton of money that day and caught a wild field.
He didn't run that badly,
race.
relatively speaking.
He did not
ran
run
well
that
to win
badly.
this race.
He ran well on the all-weather last time because, remember, off the turf races at Gulfstream are on the all-weather. And his turf form is...
Why Necromancer scratch here?
I don't know. Why? How about this? Why did...
He was going to be a short price of the dirt and turf.
And I never do this, Linda, so I'm allowed to do this. Why didn't Empire Ridge scratch on a cutback?
Well, Linda may have had to make at least one scratch today. Maybe she not had her...
Well, that's why we appreciate...
Nah, I wouldn't have kept him. No. He's not.
I appreciate guys like my man Tom...
Empire Ridge is a good scratch.
Appreciate guys like my man Tom Morley, who leaves Mr. J. McKay in, you know...
Well, Tom understands Mr. J. McKay has run well enough in the dirt. Probably a shorter price in the dirt than turf, to be honest with you.
I thought the 5, King of Sting.
The King of Sting can win.
King of Sting can win. He'll be... we'll see what kind of price he is.
Here's the problem with North Carolina in here. He's going to be a short price, and even though he can win, and he probably handle the dirt okay, he's going to really be bet off his turf races. And that bothers me about him. And that's why I thought a horse like the 4 was a much better alternative. I mean, obviously, the 16 can win. Bold Victory. Yeah. But
how many chances do you want to give this
chances
horse?
And layoffs, 2 to 5, 1 to 2 last time. Once a giant beat this horse.
Did you prefer, for Apollo Creed, did you prefer King of Sting? It was one of Apollo Creed's nicknames, King of Sting. That's where it comes from. Or the Count of Monte Fisto. That was my favorite one.
I rooted for I like horse here. I rooted for Rocky.
Everybody roots for Rocky. Are you kidding?
How do you not have Everesting anywhere in your picks?
0 for 14?
You picked the horse against Disco Ferro, but you don't have the horse in your top 4 in this
No, I wasn't here that day.
I thought you picked the horse against Disco.
I was in Florida.
I thought you picked this horse one day, didn't you?
I was getting my head caved in on, on Fountain of Youth Day.
Somebody else.
Yeah, it wasn't me. Saw the marks on my shoulder.
This horse has dirt races. It'll beat this field.
Yeah, that's 70. That's 70 back in February with
He lost
Dusky's
to Rational
horses.
Choice in mandatory.
Yep.
He got beat 6 lengths. He got beat 4 lengths by Rational Choice. He'd be 1 to 1,000,000,000 in here.
See if V can get on the board for the year.
Who?
Cleveland Johnson, affectionately known as V, been around here for a zillion years.
All right.
Assistant trainer to a few people, namely Neil Teresiano, for a very long time. Neil's retired out east now. So, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was a little interesting as an alternative at a price.
Okay.
That's all we got. We're done. Sorry, we got to leave you. But we'll actually be back at different parts of the Fox show.
You won't be without us for the rest of the day.
It's good or bad, depending on how you feel about it. Anyway, head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, use the promo code MATCH200. We'll match with $200 of your initial deposit. Play through Naira Bets and keep the money in the game. We have, top of the stretch, some spots still available for Belmont Day. Don't miss out. You'll say, why didn't I get those? They'll be sold out. You won't get them. And finally, last but not least, 3 to 8:30 tonight. America's Day at the Races. That is it for us. Johnny I will be up shortly with a recap of the scratches and changes. Have a wonderful day.